us. I'm going for a 40-minute video, a political reaction, guys. So thank you so much for showing up on my live stream again, and I appreciate your presence. Continue subscribing to my channel. You don't know what it means to me. I am actually on my way to 4,000 subscribers, and I'm relying heavily on you to do that for me. I also appreciate for your support last year, and I call upon you to come up here and support me in this year 2026. So thank you so much. I don't know what is happening to the internet here. Oh, it's connected, but what's happening? All right. So guys, come close for me the door. And there are some mosquitoes coming in. All right, guys. So it is another wonderful day that we see out there. Unfortunately, there are a lot of dirty things happening currently. Of course, GACHAGUA was attacked on the way to Kajo. I don't know why this has to happen. You have not closed. Why? Close completely. All right, so I think I talked about this goonism behavior that is really dominating in Kenya. A very bad behavior. Tabia ya kuattack watu na kuwatandika sababu ya siasa inafaa ikome. And I don't know how soon that will stop, because it is a very negative behavior that is affecting our political journey. Most of us want to be political aspirants very soon or later, maybe not today, but tomorrow. And it is therefore saddening that you'd actually get into a situation where people are fighting, people are attacking each other, and such a thing. But anyway, currently as a political commentator, or rather an analyst or a critical analyst or a reactionist, I feel so sad that Kenyan politics are wild. Yeah, GACHAGUA might be rational, but then while you respond to that with irrationality, does it really make sense? Does it make you different from GACHAGUA? It doesn't. In fact, it makes you worse than GACHAGUA himself, because for him, it's only fighting a war of words, and for you are fighting a war of tools. All right, so let's check into the dramatic scene that happened in Sagana, Kirinyaga County, where the former deputy president and the DCP leader, Rigathi Gachagua's convoy, was attacked. It's unfortunate, actually. Okay, of course, you might not like somebody, but must you attack them? We were in schools as students, we didn't like some teachers. We stay in societies, we don't like some people. We are in families, there are people we don't like, but do we really have to attack them? That is irrational, right? And when I look at that, I think we are losing it in terms of emotional intelligence in Kenya. Sometimes even we work with people who have really been enemies to us, but we don't attack them. We just wish to delink ourselves from them and get some other places where we can work. And as long as we get those places, then we will not have a problem with them, and we will never even get to attack them. But then when our leaders do this, what are they trying to teach us? Now I want us to get to Maisha TV. Actually, they captured the scene very well, and see what happened today at Kagyu.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's convoy heading to Kagio town in Kirinyaga County ran straight into police resistance, roads blocked, tear gas reportedly fired, supporters scattered, motorcades stalled, central Kenya witnessed something rare and unsettling. State security confronting a man who not long ago sat at the very core of power. What happened next is now fueling one of the most explosive political conversations in the country. Police block a former deputy president on a public road, tear gas in Sagana, crowds chanting his name, and a convoy forced to stop. It took the defiance of Kagio residents for GACHAGUA to set foot in town as crowds formed a human shield and marched him past police barricades determined to keep him out. GACHAGUA's entry into Kagio town came not through police clearance but through the sheer force of residents who swarmed the streets and escorted him through barricades mounted by police. Rigathi Gachagua, once the second most powerful man in Kenya, was treated like an outlaw on the highways of central Kenya. Videos show police surrounding vehicles, supporters coughing, scattering, residents marching from Kadongo only to be turned back by security forces. No official explanation, no statement, just kills. This comes barely 24 hours after Rigathi Gachagua accused police of protecting armed guns ahead of Nyeri rally. So the question is simple and dangerous. Who ordered this? And why is Mount Kenya suddenly a battlefield?
Mpaka wanafikia watoto wetu shuleni. Unataka kwenda kugawanya watoto shuleni. How desperate can people be? Let our children be. Let our children learn. Those children are Kenyans. Wherever they come from, whatever community they belong to, they are our children, the children of Kenya. Ni mnanielewa? Nani aliye watoto wa Gen Z? Nani aliye watoto wa Gen Z?
All right, now when politics turns into a bet, then it becomes very dangerous even for the citizens. Maybe people don't recognize the level to which this might affect us way going forward. And it's unfortunate that some statements that politicians give, actually now they become a tool to be used in a political rally or what have you. Of course, Gachagua of late has become one of the people, when he says statements, then statements are turned against him. And of course, one of the statements he said was about the Somali people. Then he came up with another statement about what was Some Kwao. And of course, Kwao, you can be from Nairobi. Even if you are a Luya, you can be from Nairobi. That is kwenu. So kusema kwamba watu wasome kwao si kumaanisha sasa watu wasitoke, Waluya hawatasoma Nairobi ama Wakisia hawatasoma Nairobi. Of course, there are Nairobi residents who are Luyas, Kisis, Kalenjin, and Somalis, among different people. Now kuna Waluya ambao they are from Bungoma, kuna Waluya ambao from Kisii, kuna Waluya ambao from Kisumu. So what I understand from that statement was generally that people should learn from where they are born. And therefore, if I'm born in Coast, let me study in Coast. Now, of course, many parents have even seen, apart from few, parents who are from Kisii, they would want their students to study from Kisii. That is the reality. Apart from very few, maybe, schools which many people now want to press their students to go to, like Alliance, Kenya High, and those other places. But of course, it should not go to the level of IDs and what have you. But I'm just looking at the aspect of, when I was looking at this story about some areas, some of the leaders, in fact, even today it has been shown clearly that some of the leaders from especially Northeastern, they are trying to take advantage of the resources they are given and the uses for personal development. And then later on, they want to force their students to go study in areas which have been developed by other leaders. And therefore, if the president is actually defending people to say that students should be studying wherever they want to be, then I also want a law placed whereby the leaders must also be pressed to improve resources around them. Because you can't tell me that so many years after colonialism, we can't have alliances in Western. We can't have alliances in Rift Valley. We can't have alliances in Kisumu or Nyanza. Actually, these things are possible. It's possible to build schools to the level of Mangu. We can have schools in Western which look like Starray Boys, which look like Alliance Girls, which look like, and my goodness, if I look at schools like St. Peter's Mumias, Kakamega High, Musingu, Kamsinga, you know, these schools can be made to that level. If I look at schools like Iten, Moi Girls Eldoret. These schools should be made to be the level of those schools in Central, such as Alliance, Mangu, Stare. And then, what I also want to ask now, when they are marking neck, they should not emphasize that we go to Nairobi. Sometimes teachers go through a lot of difficulties to travel to the city. And the reasons which made them switch, they were talking about cheating. Cheating doesn't happen on the way to marking, not even at marking. It happens at centers where students are sitting the exams for. Therefore, I would also wish that the politicians should press to allow marking to be decentralized. Let us see papers which are being marked in Eldoret, others are being marked in Bungoma, others are being marked in Nyanza, others are being marked in Kapsabet. You know, we should not really be glorifying those schools in Central so that even marking, they just think they should place us in Kenya High, Mary Hill. Those schools are having advantages year after year. Those schools are actually benefiting every year. Like when marking exercise starts there, they are receiving a lot of money. And I don't know why politicians in Kenya are not talking about this. They are just quiet. And all they are now arguing about is the statement that GACHAGUA gave of Watu Wasome Kwao. I think people should learn that he is opening their eye into some things they cannot see. And if Nairobi cities will be spread all over this nation, we cannot be struggling to go to Nairobi. Like some services you can't get wherever you are, you have to go to Nairobi. Why? Anyway, that is it. But anyway, let's now get to something else after we've checked on that attack on GACHAGUA. But it's unfortunate because now it's like Kenya, we are turning into a small Uganda nation. And it is dirty politics anyway. Now, there is another incident that I want to actually share here. And this is about the demand that the young people are placing on the president, and I like it. You know, the young people in this country are very bold, and I wish leaders should listen to them. These youth are coming and reminding the leaders of what they need to do. Because our president has been talking about development from left to right. Does he know that the biggest problem we have in this nation is corruption? People asking for money left and right, even when it comes to letters. Can you imagine that currently students have been placed in bad schools and parents wish to put them in better schools? But just having your son or daughter be placed in a school and they have performed well, not bad, somebody will ask for 10,000, 20,000, 120,000, 100,000, as if it's their right, and they'll even deny you a chance if they know you'll talk about it. Maybe some people like us who are in political realms talking about these things, if people know about us, they might not even want to talk to us. But I'm sure that so many parents are coughing a lot of money in national schools, majorly national schools. Just because people don't want to give free letters, corruption is at the peak. You go to the road, the police are collecting money on roads instead of taking care of safety. Instead of stopping crime, they'll collect bribes from the people so that they survive. In the house of a policeman, you might find just cash hanging around. They play with money like toys, which is unfortunate. Okay? Now, also, looking into this, we have serious problems in our country because of corruption. I'm also looking at health and education is our major problem, because if my kids would know that they could go to school without paying fees and I would go to hospital to be treated without anything, then our rest of the problems would be easily solved. Actually, a lot of people are dying in Kenya because they don't have money to cater for their health. And again, somebody dies, they are kept in a morgue. Families are forced to collect money to bury them. And so I am so happy about the young person who boldly talked to Ruto in Nakuru about this aspect. Now let's go to it and listen to him.
Simama hapa kama kuna mmoja wenu.
That is the universal. If you can say medication in hospitality to be
Janet Kemunto, welcome.
My president.
Welcome, Janet Kemunto. Hello, I hope you're fine.
Corruption in our country. That is only our problem. My president, if you can eradicate corruption in our country, na ufunge mashimo zote, expensive. Hata kusema tutam, sidhani nani atasema ati si watu tam. Mwenye atasema wanda mimbi mwenye afikiri. So my excellency, kilio yetu ni moja tu. Kilio yangu ni moja tu, your excellency. Ufanye kama unaweza fanya education and hospitality to be free, because yani venye baba yangu amekuvia hapa medi, but mnipe hiyo time ya kwenda kuzika baba yangu, mnanipea time nyingine ya kwenda kufanya mchango, nikafanya harambee na baba yangu amekufia hapa medical. If you can say medication to be free to every citizen of this country, I think that can be. The last thing, your excellency, kama unafanya education from nursery to university, that is the universal right for everybody. Kama unaweza maskini tajiri watu wasome history za CDF na whatever na basari, sometimes asifikiaji watu wote. Excellency, that is only my message. Very happy.
Asante. Thank you very much. Aya, James ameniambia.
All right, guys, James talked to the president during that meeting and said he would wish that corruption be eliminated. He would wish that health education is free and accessible to everybody. I don't know whether our president is going to actually adhere to that when currently the capitation has been reduced in schools, and of course health has been placed in the hands of civil servants who are being deducted tax every month. Thank you, Janet Kemunto, for sharing that comment. I really appreciate, and thank you so much for watching my live stream. So guys, what do you think the president will do to make sure that he fulfills what the young people are demanding? And of course, it is clear, you know, somebody doesn't have to tell you that. Of course, when somebody says that, they are indirectly telling you that. Of course, when somebody says that, they are indirectly telling you that if you do this, that's when we'll support you. So I don't know whether the president got the message or he never got it. Meanwhile, let's check on some other message that came out. Today, we saw GACHAGUA making a big announcement. Let's check on it.
President YOUTH, the third president of the Republic of Kenya, a champion of education and development in Kenya, and President Uhuru Kenyatta massively developed the education sector in Kenya, particularly in infrastructure and development. Through the due process, we had free primary education that has grown steadily even as our population and development priorities grow as a nation. However, some unfortunate truths and discussions must be held now for prosperity, introspection, and national audit. We must be alive to the fact that our Constitution of Kenya 2010 gifted us devolution, which took off in the year 2013. At the same time, the Constitutional Development Fund, now National Government CDF, came into action in the year 2004. Hitherto, several funds have been channeled to our counties and constituencies since then to develop our villages, towns, and where we all come from. This was meant to bridge development gaps and create equity. I take note that since the year 2013, the 47 counties in Kenya have received a total of 4 trillion transfers from the national government to county governments as part of the shareable revenue. This does not include county own source income. Further, had applied to be considered to be admitted in those areas, in those schools, and attained the requisite marks were denied an opportunity. For example, there is a child from the Boto area who got 71 out of 72 marks. Alliance High School is just a few meters from the water. That child had asked to be placed in Alliance High School, and the cluster was right. That child was denied an opportunity. Yet, some children from other areas with as low as 50 marks have been admitted to those institutions. That is what we are saying is unfair. It cannot be, you know. This placement must be based on merit for all the children of Kenya. And I am saying it's unfair to deny a child an opportunity to go to a school of his or her choice with very high marks and give that opportunity to another child with very low marks. That I'm saying is unfair, it's uncalled for. Let me also say this, because it's important. Let leaders from northern Kenya not lecture us about affirmative action. Devolution has been in place since 2013, and leaders from those regions deliberately have refused to develop institutions. Yet they want their children to enjoy the facilities of institutions that have been put by other leaders in other counties. Since 2013, Wajir County has received 99.6 billion Kenya shillings. Marsabit County has received 76.83 billion. Garissa County has received 81.7 billion shillings. Mandera County has received 119 Kenya billion shillings. They have the opportunity to develop institutions of the highest standards possible in Kenya. Not just for the children of those areas, but for the children of Kenya. I traveled as deputy president of those areas, and I don't...
All right, guys, when you listen to Gachagua, he makes a lot of sense, and he talks a lot of truth. Unfortunately, in Kenya, when you are truthful, woe unto you. So, of course, currently people are using whatever is... Yeah, so the internet is really bothering me a lot, but no problem, I have to continue. So, guys, what I'm saying is, if you listen to Gachagua without irrationally running to political war, because there is a political war that people are actually creating, including Wamuchomba. I didn't imagine that this lady would be turning up to be such a petty politics individual. Wamchomba has actually been fighting for gender equality. She has even been fighting for development of, hey, unachoma, you're burning your bag. Look at this girl. Those shoes should not be there also. So this struggle to actually make equity in Kenya, how can it be achieved if we are not going to hold leaders accountable? How? And yet, you can really actually see that the former opposition that was strong is currently just clapping for the government. I don't want those shoes there. Those shoes. These shoes, they're here. Remove them and place them on the rack. Why are they here? Yeah, so it's unfortunate actually. And when Gachagua speaks, now politicians will use that opportunity to turn our focus towards something else. They'll talk about tribal sentiments, instead of looking at the nitty-gritties of the discussion. Actually, he brought a very good discussion that should be picked and used to check on the politicians in different regions, including other areas. I don't think it's Northeastern alone. Even other areas. You might actually realize that CDF is not working as it should. While Ndindi Nyoro is doing so well, we have regions where nothing is being done with that money. Anyway, when we look at Wamuchomba, I want us to go to Wamuchomba and see the statements she made.
I'm going to put my
not
hands
really
up
communicating,
and say that I am guilty.
but
I have been gatekeeping a particular AI tool for...
There is a statement that Wamuchomba posted. I want us to go to that. Now, among the statements that Wamchomba has posted, I want us to look at this. Wamchomba has posted this statement. It is irrational to insinuate that all national schools in Mulima area should only accommodate learners from Mulima only. Imagine such a fellow as president. He will soon demand that all teachers in Mulima schools must be Wasapere. This dude must be stopped from using tribal card in stopping learners from accessing national schools. Every child has a right. Of course, children have a right. But I'm just trying to think, again, if the leaders in Northeastern are not told the truth, do you think they are going to actually do what is expected? Now, Wamuchomba, I don't think Gachagua actually said that learners should only be Mulima. I think Wamuchomba is indirectly changing the statement to mean that Gachagua meant that wakuwe wa Kikuyu or students from Mulima. It's not the case. He just said students should learn from where they stay. And the people who stay in Mulima, they are not only Mulima people. We have students there who are from Nyanza, but they stay there. And if most of them, of course, learn from schools within there, I've had my sisters, my cousins who are Luos, who are Luyas, who are from Taita Taveta, learning within Nairobi. If they learn in Nairobi, their parents are in Nairobi, let them go to schools in Nairobi. But we have now those who have been studying elsewhere. And their regions, their leaders are not doing much to do with the institutions. What should be done to them? Anyway, Wamchomba seems to be just have been bought by the government. That's what I can say. And therefore, she has turned just from nowhere. She has become someone who is supporting the government and hitting the opposition. The other statement she says, Wamunyoro is misogynistic, hater of women. During his impeachment, there are 2 women MPs who publicly claimed that he verbally attacked them using unprintable words, referred to parliamentary Hansard. Last week in a funeral ceremony in Kigumo, he uttered not a word when Lamu MP Honorable Monica Mudhoni was attacked by his supporters for expressing her opinion. In fact, in his speech, he affirmed that she deserved the wrath. He is on record verbally attacking female MPs and governors like Waiguru, Susan Kihiga, Barire. But then my question is, hasn't Gachagua supported any woman? That is what I would ask. So I want also to bring a video here to prove that leaders from Northeastern are actually letting us down. And I want us to see this. There is a video here. Iko wapi? There's a video that shows how the leaders in Northeastern are doing badly. Like they have left their institutions. Students are studying under trees. They are building a lot of, houses in Nairobi. In fact, the county ambulances have been converted into parkings. And I saw something just somewhere. Where is this? So actually, Gachagua is doing a lot of whistleblowing, but people don't want to listen. And they will regret. After all, sometimes Wakenya hawaangalii. When things are being said, they just ignore. But when it comes to the worst, that's when they'll know. This, I think this other. Look at this. This is an ambulance parked, like it is there. Let's say it looks like a store for somebody. And it's supposed to be serving the patients. What is this? Okay? So when Gachagua talks about some things, maybe he's presenting only badly. You know, sometimes somebody can cook very nice food. But if they present it badly, you'll think it's very bad food. But is it bad? I don't think so. But anyway, let's end here. We've taken 30 minutes of your time. Of course, I should also prepare to go to Life Saga, do a short video, and then count it a day. Bye-bye for now. Let's meet tomorrow. Mosquitoes wanapata mwanya ukiingia hapa.